Hello everybody and welcome back to Floor Planner. This video today is for the advanced tools and demo this 2025 month of March. Welcome to spring. So we're going to do a little PowerPoint presentation first, and then we'll get into some actual live demo. Lots of new features that have occurred inside the platform, so it's a great opportunity to share with you some new items that are out there for, as I mentioned, 2025. And starting with a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, let's go forward and just say that my name is Bob. I am based here in the United States, although Floor Planner is a European-based platform out of the Netherlands, out of Rotterdam specifically. Being kind of a Dutch company that we are not really big on job titles, so let's just say I am here for customer success. I'm here to support you all as you develop your skill and your technique in utilizing Floor Planner. A little bit about my background, because there's a lot of diversity as to whom you all are as users of Floor Planner. And myself, I'm a licensed architect here in the United States. I'm licensed down in the state of Florida. I'm also licensed in the state of New York. I'm a member of the American Institute of Architects. I specialize in architectural interiors. I've had the great privilege of being a guest speaker for Autodesk University, talking about how to utilize different technologies such as Floor Planner as to how to communicate our creative design intent ideas with others, with a baseline of storytelling. How do we actually talk to each other? Coming from another part of my career path, working for the Walt Disney Company, where I worked with store planning and design for their retail locations in resorts and also theme parks. I've worked in residential, commercial, retail design, obviously, and I've also supported the interior design industry and interior retailers by managing and directing dedicated CAD departments, computer-aided drafting, groups of CAD specialists to support the designers, primarily working with Autodesk products, AutoCAD 2D, 3D AutoCAD, and also 3ds Max for really beautiful visualization products, until I found Floor Planner. Floor Planner was kind of the answer that I was looking for, and many of my clients and designers that I worked with were certainly looking for, because we were looking for something a little faster, yet still giving us the quality of these really beautiful renderings. Floor Planner does give you the ability to do so. We're a cloud-based platform, certainly working with a great deal of power with other computers that are out there being cloud-based, giving us the opportunity to create our renderings and our images, we call them exports, as fast as 20 seconds versus other softwares that I still utilize, that can take days to create one beautiful image. Speed is a big issue, but the quality of your product that you create with Floor Planner, quite exceptional. So let's get started here with a little bit more background. The breadth of Floor Planner is extremely broad. This is an advanced tools webinar, so we're talking that you've already had experience with Floor Planner, or you've already attended our intro webinar, or had a chance to develop the beginnings of your skill set with Floor Planner. Because you're always building a 3D model in Floor Planner, yet you can take that 3D model and view it and create documentation for the 2D views or furniture floor plans. Beyond that modeling and creating those lovely images, either interior images or those two-dimensional plan images, you can also create something like a 3D tour, which we will showcase today. It's another option that you can add on to the project that you've created, where you can take your room, one single room that you built inside Floor Planner, or a series of rooms on one floor, and you can send it out to the cloud. Instead of getting back a still image, you get back a hyperlink. Hyperlinks can be shared with your clients, and they can open them as they're connected to the internet on their phones, on their iPads, their tablets, their computers, and they can go ahead and actually tour around inside your model that you've created and explore your design. And they also will be viewing your model in real-time rendered experiences, much like a gaming environment. Pretty awesome. These links will also include camera views as you created them. So being an architect myself, I like to show my property the way I'd like you to see it. So certainly You can, from the pull-down menu, go ahead and select specific camera views and see those also in real-time rendered experiences. There's also a play button for a video, so the client can sit back hands-free and actually see a tour of your property directed by you as to how you want them to see your property based on the camera views that you created and the order that you placed them to tell your story. Maybe your story starts with the foyer to the living room to the dining room, etc. And that played out video will be very easy for them to just sit back and enjoy. These links also open up in virtual reality goggles, your Meta 2, Meta 3 goggles, so you can have full virtual reality immersion experience. Beyond 3D tours, you also have style boards, mood board presentations that you can create. We've all done them in the past. Myself, I've done them with hard copy boards where we actually cut out magazine pictures and paste them to those boards and have a little sample of a paint sample, flooring sample as a concept board in advance as to how we want to go ahead and showcase our properties. These boards can, we later started creating them with PowerPoint presentations and other visual softwares. Floor Planner has the ability to also create a style board, mood board inside Floor Planner, which is very advantageous because we have the 3D models of the furnishings. And those 3D models, you can choose which view of the model piece you'd like. That piece of furniture, which is like a top view, a side view, perspective view of the item. Much easier than just cutting out magazine pictures for sure and pasting them to a board. These mood board style boards with Floor Planner also have the ability to have intelligence associated with them. You can actually tell your image of the upholstery item inside your presentation board that it actually is a sofa. You can tell the table in front of it that it is a coffee table. When you identify these roles of those items on your board, it's called Magic Layout, then the board that you've created can be reapplied to a new empty room, a brand new project, brand new client, or an existing project. If you wanted to go ahead and apply this design of this board into that room inside Floor Planner, you can assign the style board to it and it will auto-populate that room with the furnishings and finishes and materials as you've dictated them to be. This will be having your items placed furniture-wise in logical sense, geometries, in a, well, it's based on algorithms. So it's a mathematical equation that you certainly don't put a sofa in front of a door, etc. So basic logic. Yes, the coffee table is sitting in front of the sofa. From that basic layout and logic of populating the entire room, you can take it from there and make your own customization of placing those items where you'd like them to be. You can also delete items you can add from other collections at that point. Biggest point is it's a starting point for you. Very high speed, taking a design that you've already created and applying it into an empty room and giving you a very time savings sort of environment to go ahead and get started from that point. Building multiple style boards and having them in your collection to pull from, highly valuable for sure. We also have what's called a Floorscanner app, which works with Apple technology, iPads and iPhones 12 up through 16 versions. It needs to be a Pro version iPad or iPhone. Pro version iPads and iPhones with Apple actually have in their cameras a LiDAR scanning device, so the hardware is already there for you. And Apple did this so that programmers and developers could go ahead and create apps that would take advantage of it. We did, and Floor Planner developed Floorscanner. Floorscanner is a free app. You can go ahead and download that to your devices. When you log into your Floorscanner app, you will log in with your Floor Planner ID and your Floor Planner password. That way you'll be syncing your Floor Planner account with your Floorscanner. And what will occur with your Floorscanner, go out to the field to your client's rooms on site and take your device with you, open up your app, and you literally just scan the room with your device, much like taking a video of the room, and Floor Planner will immediately, instantaneously actually, As soon as you upload that information, we'll create a 3D model project inside your floor planner account based on the as-built information that was captured. Very valuable. It'll capture the height of the rooms, the actual footprint of the room, doors, windows, locations, etc. It'll also take some general volume studies of the furnishings that are placed inside the room. More importantly, it's capturing the room, period, the as-built, versus taking a tape measure, laser measure, graph paper, and somebody to write it down for you. High speed to capture the room for sure. I do like to go ahead now take overall measurements of the room just across the room in width and depth just to verify accuracy. My accuracy using Floorscanner has been within a half an inch, sometimes absolutely perfect. So it's a very valuable tool for high-speed capture as built measuring of a location in the field and creating the model straight away inside Floor Planner. We'll show you a demonstration of that today also. So let's talk about advanced tools today. I want to show you some other features that I don't necessarily spend a whole lot of time talking about during my general intro presentations. Yet, I want to make sure you're comfortable with the fact that there is additional training information available to you on our website. So if you go to floorplanner.com and go to the support tab up here in the top center to activate the support tab, you're going to have all this additional free training material available to you that you can take at your own pace. There are recorded videos such as this one that you did find today out on our website through the Floor Planner channel on YouTube. You can have the link right here and go ahead and see the recordings of the intro webinar if you've missed that along the way, or if you'd like to have some refresher. Certainly this Advanced Tools webinar is located there also, and there's also a 2D, 3D camera settings video out there. These are our basic videos to give you some general instruction to get you started inside Floor Planner. There are also small feature videos out there showcasing many of the advances that we've created inside Floor Planner over the months and years. Sometimes these are coming out, some modifications weekly, monthly. There's a lot of beautiful new information coming into Floor Planner with new tools for 2025, and these upgrades happen immediately inside Floor Planner. It's nothing you have to do. Every time you open up Floor Planner, if something new has occurred, it's already present for you. Yet it's always nice to know what are those updates. Did you miss anything? There's a list. So over here where it says product updates, you can actually go to a list of the most current items at the top in that list, and you can scroll back and take a look at the past year, see if you've missed anything. Very nice little descriptions as to what those features are, pretty well explained to get you started to know what the feature is and where to find it. There's also a PDF document that you can download. It's a reference manual. We call it a editor manual. It's about 80 pages long. Very nice document that you certainly can print out, keep handy. There's a single one page inside this document that I certainly would like for you to print out, keep it handy as you develop your skill in Floor Planner. It is a page showcasing the shortcuts and hotkeys for your keyboard. It's a short list, but yet very powerful shortcut hotkeys that will be of great benefit to you as you're developing your skill set inside Floor Planner to help you speed things along. There's also the registration in there for the live weekly webinars that occur on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. U.S. time, I am based here in the United States, East Coast, just north of Washington, D.C. And my presentations live are 11 o'clock and also at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can register for these live webinars as often as you'd like to. It's a great venue for all of our users with Floor Planner to go ahead and have the opportunity to see the platform as it exists currently. Because again, we keep evolving and keep changing and gaining opportunities with new technology and implementing that into our platforms. There's also, when you register for those live weekly webinars, there's a comment section in there in advance of the webinar. So if there's some special interest that you have that you'd like to make sure we touch on during that live webinar, you can note it there. A quick question is certainly beneficial. I always review those registrations before each live webinar. There's also a contact form in the lower right-hand corner where you can send a message straight to the support team over in the Netherlands. These are more technical concerns or observations within the platform. If you have an immediate issue, you can send that straight away to the support team in the Netherlands. The support team in the Netherlands, as myself as training here in the United States, we have direct lines of communication to the programmers and the developers. So if we need to get a question straight away to the source, we can do so. We'll get an answer for you for sure, get a response back to you, and put it in the hands of someone that needs to address it right away. I think you'll find Floor Planner is an extremely responsive company. So again, welcome to Floor Planner. Project levels. Project levels. SD Lite, SD, HD, 4K, 8K. There's some variances and differences inside here. And there's a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of diversity as to whom you are as users of the Floor Planner platform. If you start as a basic free account, remember there's 6 different subscription levels out there. The basic free account has some modifications to it, and this past December 2024. Benefits, I think, and we also wanted to constantly have the opportunity to offer a free offering for the casual user to get started with Floor Planner, to explore Floor Planner, see if Floor Planner is the right choice for your needs. So the free basic account does have the opportunity for 5 free projects to be created. That's pretty beneficial. Those SD Lites for those free projects will allow you to build up to a 3-story project. You also have, as that basic free account, you have the opportunity to create a limited number of groups, which we'll highlight some groups today, show you how to do that. And also gives you the opportunity to favorite items. You can favorite paints, favorite items into your own specialized list of reoccurring objects or paints or materials or finishes that you want to keep handy that you find valuable, and keep them accessible to you. SD Lites also have some limitations on your exports. You can export your imagery as JPEG images, 8.5 by 11 letter size sheets, scale to fit documents for your 2-dimensional documents, nice resolution on them. We can do better. When you upgrade to an SD level project or higher, not the SD Lites, then you start the benefit of multiple designs, which I think is really valuable for an interior designer or anybody that's working with multiple design finishes that you want to go and showcase to your clients. Multiple designs. You can, in the same one project that you create, you can create multiple designs. So if we built one room or multiple rooms on a single floor and said I wanted to showcase a different layout of my space planning or different objects, different furniture pieces, different collections, different layout, different finishes, different materials, different architecture. Yes, you can do so. With that same one project, you can take that one design that you created, the first initial design, you can duplicate it. Duplicate that design, you can then change out the selection of the furniture, space planning, finishes, materials, and rename it, call it Bob's Option 2, if you'd like to. Go back to the original, make another copy of it, and call it Bob's Option 3. So within that same one project that you created, you can create up to 10 different designs as an SD level project. You can make 10 different designs for every floor. For an SD level project, you can build a 7-story stacked, which means you could create 70 different designs. That's a lot. Way too many options for your client for sure, yet comes in handy for some multiple camera views and some additional features that you may want to be working with for your own customization of those files and imagery. You also, as an SD level project, as I just mentioned, can also build a 7-story project. Your exports of your 2-dimensional document, you gain a new feature. You can export as a PDF, not just a JPEG anymore, not just an 8.5 by 11. As a PDF, you have other options. PDFs will now allow you to change the layout sheet size, 8.5 by 11 letter size, 11 by 17 inch ledger size, or even bigger. You can send it out as an 18-inch by 24-inch architectural C size sheet, which is a plotter size sheet, or even bigger as a 24-inch by 36-inch sheet, architectural D. You also gain with the PDF. We can do scale to fit. Certainly it will fit on your pages. And you can actually set a measurable scale for the document, including with the toggle switch. Go ahead and turn on an architectural scale block to showcase on your document. You can set them as a 16th inch equals a foot, an 1/8 inch equals a foot, very teeny, 1/4 inch equals a foot. Our interior design favorite scale for presentation here in the US for sure, or even larger, you can send it out as a 1/2 inch equals a foot. Scalable document is that PDF. You can download that to your device, and then you can send it to your printer. You're going to download a copy of the PDF from the cloud. The other will remain in the cloud. With that PDF on your device, you're going to make sure of something very important here. You're going to make sure that your device is communicating properly to your printer. There's many devices and many printers and plotters out there. You want to make sure that you're setting your document and your device as a full bleed to the printer, meaning you're sending it out borderless, no margins. It's a full bleed to the edges of the paper because your scale is actually being determined based on the sheet size. So it's very important that you don't alter that. Then when it comes out of your printer, your plotter, your device, if you have an architectural scaling block on the document, you can actually take a physical scale and just confirm that your device and your printer is communicating correctly, and you have a scaled document. Otherwise, it is always proportionally correct as your presentation material. The differences between an SD, HD, 4K, and 8K: pixel count, resolution of the final imagery that you're creating for whatever reason or purpose that you're utilizing it. You can make these selections at the conception of the project at the very beginning, or during the entire lifespan of that project. You can always upgrade the project accordingly as you need to. Most of the top 100 retailers that we work with here in the US have determined that the HD level quality is a very good quality for our client level presentations. Clients do have a tendency to zoom in on details, and you never want it to look pixelated. You want the clean image for your clients. Sometimes you need something better. 4K, obviously you can see the pixel count is quite a jump and increase there. Higher quality image, maybe you're working with like a 70-inch flat screen monitor screen behind you, and you want to zoom in on details on a very large presentation, so you always want to make it very crisp, or for other reasons to have a better level of quality, 4K, or even the best. If you just want the best, certainly go for an 8K. 8K level pixel count, certainly for publications. If you want to go ahead and have your absolute best crisp image. Personally, I've done a lot of presentation pieces as 8K. Beautiful when you zoom in on details. I've had it all the way down to a small glass votive candle on a table, and zooming in on its detail, it actually sees the reflection of the window outside and the view. It's actually quite stunning. So again, you make your determination as to why and what you need, and all of these are available to you. Pricing and such, we do work with a credit-based system. As you're starting with like those SD level projects and higher, if you're a pro subscription account up through enterprise accounts, you're always starting at least as an SD level project and then elevating as needed. There are some of these features as noted. This is all available to, of course, on our floorplanner.com website through the pricings tab. I'm just taking a screenshot of this for your own edification for today. Credits and how they're utilized across the board. As I mentioned, for a 3D tour, a 5-credit add-on to a project, minimal expense, one time only to that project. And then, of course, you can create multiple 3D tours inside that one project. It's very modest in its expense. Just wanted to showcase for you as to how that breaks down on our rate card. And by the way, that's our mascot for Floor Planner. He's called Floxy. So you'll see Floxy all throughout our presentation. So let's talk about 3D tours for a second, and take the time to actually give you a little bit of an example. pretty much so describe to you how that occurs. As I mentioned, you would upgrade your project at the very beginning, or during the lifespan of the project. You can always edit that information of its level and add on a 3D tour for the 5 credits. Once you do so, when you create your room or multiple rooms on a single floor, you'll be creating camera views. Those camera views you can rename. We do talk about this more in our 2D, 3D exports session, if you'd like to take a peek at that. The camera views that you create, and name them as you care to, can be changed in the listed order as to which one's first, which one's second, which one's third. As you tell your story using your still images that you created, then you can go ahead and create what is the 3D tour as an option, much like you would send through your export tab. You would send out the export and a little selection would be in there as a 3D tour. As the 3D tour, it'll go out to the cloud, and when it's completed, it'll be waiting inside your exports as a 3D tour, and it'll have a hyperlink associated with it that you can share with your clients. Time-wise to get a 3D tour created. Now, if I was making a small clip of a video clip with other softwares, it would take me a very long time. It would month or so for me to create that as this very small video clip, and it'll be a very heavy file. Inside Floor Planner, to create a 3D tour as a hyperlink, I find it extremely beneficial that no, you're not going to get back in 20 seconds because it's a rather complicated process to create that. But that hyperlink, when generated, it takes for me about 20-25 minutes to create it. Well worth the wait for me because of the value of that link at that point, which has no weight to it when you send it to a client. You can send it in a text, you can send it in an email, embed it in a PowerPoint presentation, or embed it into a Microsoft Word document. Hyperlink, that's it. So the client on the other end can go ahead and just open that on their, it looks really great on a phone, by the way. Very cool because you can use your finger to navigate around inside of it, or a tablet or an iPad, or your client can open it up on your computers, Macs, PCs, use a mouse and keyboard. I am making my presentation today with an all-in-one PC, so Windows-based, and I'm using a mouse and keyboard. And as an example of what is a 3D tour, I embedded a couple links in here of a couple addresses of 3D tours that are stored out in the cloud. So what would happen, you're gonna look over my shoulder as if a client was opening a 3D tour, what do you actually see? So I'm gonna take this link that I embedded right here, and I'm gonna open it on my PC and just double click it, and we're going out into the cloud. Starts with a cover page, as you saw that come up, my big blue area in the background. Pro accounts and higher, you can customize these and go ahead and have a custom branding, a logo, etc. Mine was just a blue screen. It's a hesitation moment as we're going into the cloud. We are in the cloud together inside this particular model. Your client, as myself going in here now, has the opportunity to not only see a fully rendered real-time experience, but you're able to navigate and look around the space. If I want to teleport myself across the way, I can click on the floor and just take myself to the other side. I can use my mouse to be looking upward, looking downward, and looking around inside my space. I could go out onto the terrace if I cared to. Turn around, go back into the dining room on the other side. Mirrors are reflecting, and start studying this design at my leisure of going around the space in a real-time rendered experience. As I mentioned, the camera views that were created, as you cared to name them, I didn't get very creative, but we could have renamed these, and the client would know what you're looking at and say, I want to go to the specific view that you wanted to share with me called coffee break, and it takes you back to a specific view, real-time rendered again. There's a play button up there, as we just noted. Hit the play button out there. No hands. And you just sit back and watch the 3D tour in the order of the cameras as they were placed, as you wanted to tell your story, and the client can see this entire 3D tour in this real-time rendered experience. If you want to stop the tour, just click on the button again, and you're back to being able to tour the space freely. These links, as I mentioned, will open up in the virtual reality goggles for the full VR experience, Meta 2, Meta 3 goggles, etc. Have that full VR experience. Very valuable. Certainly very cost effective for the minimal 5 credits to do so. And then making multiple 3D tours. So if you wanted to change your story for this project, just change your camera views, change the order that you place them, and then send that link out, or that model out to the cloud again to have a 3D tour created. A second one, you get a different hyperlink that you can go ahead and share with your clients. 3D tours, find them extremely valuable. You'll see a little difference in the render quality. These are really beautiful in a real-time rendered experience, yet the still images that you're rendering are Blender rendering and images, and their quality is, I think, awesome, but there is a little difference in the qualities between the two, your still images versus a 3D tour. I know the developers are working towards equaling this out to have the 3D tours look more like the Blender rendering engines in time. But for right now, it's still a phenomenal product for sure. Let's see if we can get back to our floor planner account. Okay, so that was your 3D tour. I want to take some time to talk about a real demo. Let's really look at a project. So I've already built a project and I want to talk about the advanced tools for sure. So we've got a two-dimensional view of a 3D model currently, one of my projects out there. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, I'm in the 2D view. If you select the 3D view, starts with a dollhouse view on top, which looks like this little bird's nest in the upper right-hand corner, and you have the zoom extents button over here that you can center on your screen. Of course, I can use my mouse and twirl around the space a little bit and start studying what are we looking at in this particular room that we've created. I'm going to go back to the 2D view for a second and talk about the doors right up front. As we get advanced tools, as I mentioned, changing sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, something that's been worked on for the past year or so are the doors and windows of your build command. Over here with the build command, yes, in placing windows or placing doors. There are new libraries now of doors and windows. The windows were out first, the doors have just come out, and the features of those doors have in the past week advanced. I'm not sure if we're completely finalized on this, but for today's sake, I think you're going to be very interested. Let's concentrate on the doors. In the doors, you can see doors in 2D or doors in 3D. I like 3D because you can see where the glazing and glass is. I think you'll notice that you have a really, really cool variety currently. And it's drag and drop into your walls, as you know. Well, what's changed? If I take these French doors that we placed down in this particular model, these are the new doors. If you select the doors like we had before, you know that you can go to their settings over here on the left-hand side and you can change the specifications of its width and its height. Yet you can also copy doors, you can flip doors side to side or front and back, and you can delete doors, yes. But you have a new feature over here. While you're in 2D, you have an option over here on the left-hand side, certainly the colors and materials, but you also have the ability to open the door. Now you're not going to see this in your 2D representation, but this will open and close the doors for the first time in your 3D view. So if you know the percentage of the doorway you want to have it open, you can change this here. I think you're going to have more fun with this, actually taking a look at this in 3D. So we go to the 3D button in the upper right-hand corner and twirl around our space a little bit. Let's maybe go inside here with our little walking man up there, go first person, do our zoom extents button, and take a look inside our room, not to get you too dizzy, sorry about that. Arrow keys back, using my mouse, there are the doors. For the first time now, you can select the doors in 3D. So in selecting the doors, we could alter its flip, which would not make a difference really with a French door, or front and back, which would make a difference. Yet that open door slider up here, we can start to slide it. And yes, we're going to step out into the green field. So for your interior renders, your exports that you're going to create, you can now have your door set to open. I think you will have a great deal of fun with this. Plus, if you go to the color of that door, Not only do you have, as you've had before, the ability to change the frame, the door, the threshold to different colors, most currently in the past week, wood tones have been made available to you to change out some wood grains, not just solid colors out there. Um, Very, very awesome new tools for doors. So have fun with these. I think this will give you a lot more creativity to express your ideas about your designs and these new tools. So let's go back for a second and go back to 2D view. And let's talk about groups as an advanced tool out there also. Groups, which are also now available to the SD Lite projects for those 5 free projects for those of you that are casual users using the basic account. We all have access now to groups. Now, what are groups? I can select an item by clicking on it. I can also hold my shift key and select a second item. Technically, they are grouped together and I can move the group around. Groups, as they're selected, you can copy groups, you can flip groups left and right, front and back, rotate them 90 degrees, or rotate them to specific angles over here on the left-hand side. And you can also raise from floor a group specifically, as we have furniture selected up here in the tab in the upper left-hand corner. There's another way to identify items more than just holding shift and selecting another item. If you hold, as I'm doing in a Windows-based platform currently, I'm going to hold my shift key and my left mouse click and drag out a selection window over the entire room. It selects everything. So with everything being selected in the upper left-hand corner, you can choose, do I want to select the furniture alone without the walls? Or did I want just the walls and not the furniture? Yes. Where if we're just selecting the walls, maybe I drafted this wrong height of the walls and I wanted to make the walls shorter and change this out to 8 feet. I could change this number over here accordingly and drop the walls down instead of having to do one wall at a time. But I want to stay with the furniture for a second, and all my furniture is selected. Now I can take that furniture grouping and certainly move it, noticing that it is snapping to the walls. So there's another tool out there. If you hold your S key, S as in snap, it will turn off your snap feature. I'm still holding my S key down, so I have the freedom to move my items around. So if snap ever becomes a concern, just hit your S key. Now, with those items selected, it becomes beneficial to do rotations to any angle other than 90 degrees, to drag them somewhere else, copy paste them for use in this one design of this one project. Yet, sometimes you have a really great group of furniture that you want to move to another design in the same one project, or to another floor, another story of the same project, or even take it to another project, a brand new project that you're creating, or even take it to an existing project, and you want to reuse this collection. Yet you know that you can only have one project open at one time. So if you can only have one project open at a time, how do you take it to another project? What you do, this is kind of basic computer language. So we use that shift key. Let's do it again. Hold my shift key, my left mouse click, just to take the rug and all the furniture that's in there, and I want to take this somewhere else. Instead of using the copy features that you're seeing in the icons on the screen right now, not touching anything, I'm going to use my keyboard only, my keyboard of my computer. I'm going to hit my Control-C key. Control-C is in copy, which is a copy command for basic computer language that your device will be able to retain the copy of one thing at any one time. So if you hit Control-C of the items that are selected right now, your computer will remember it. So if I go to another design in this project, leaving this window, or go to another floor of this project, or close this project completely, open another project or a brand new project, go to your dedicated location of where you want to drop this, and hit your Control V, V as in Victor, which is your paste command, copy, paste. So yes, you can copy between designs, floors, even projects, utilizing your keyboard, a basic computer language, Control-C of the items that are selected, and Control-V to paste them on the other side. Now, let's talk about those groups as a named group. Again, this is offered as a limited offering for also even for basic accounts out there, that you can group items for a permanent named group. This comes in handy that sometimes maybe you had a specific, let's say, dining room table, and you had multiple styles of chairs around it. Like, this is really great. I want to use this over and over again, but I don't want to take the time to do it each time. You can take that table and you can take the different chairs around it, and you can make it a named group for your reuse as an object in the future. So maybe I like this furniture as a grouping completely, whole living room set. Maybe I want all of it. So if I hold my shift key and make my selection window just over my furniture, including the rug and the lamps, etc. On the left-hand side, not only, you have these abilities to change it with all these icons, but you also have a Create Group button. If I hit that Create Group button and name it as such, I'm going to call this Bob Living Room, just to give it a namesake. And then hit Submit, and it goes out into the cloud, and there's the collection that is now as a permanent group. Great. Well, we've completed it. You can always delete these, so no fear of what you're doing here for sure, or rename them if I didn't like the name that I placed on it. Well, that's great. Where is it? It is actually over here in your Objects tab, which is where all your furniture is in the general categories or brands. If you have access to all the brands out there, which are fabulous. These are other clients of Floor Planner for sure. And you've also got out there a Groups tab. If you hit the Groups tab out there, we are going to find inside Groups, sure enough, Bob's Living Room. You can take this collection from here, left click, drag and drop it, put it inside your plan or any other project, because now it's part of your tools inside your Objects tab. So yes, named groups, highly valuable. I like this especially for accessories. If you're going to accessorize shelf units repeatedly, you want books and you want a picture frame and you want a small plant and a candle, it takes time to find those items and decide visually, to personalize a space on a shelf unit. I could do this as a collection and save it as a named group, maybe call it Shelf A, and maybe I'll do a different assortment, call it Shelf B, and always have those available that I could just drag and drop them when I need them versus having to give thought to it for accessorizing. Create your own methods on there. I think you'll find a lot of time-saving features in there for sure, taking full use of groups. What I'd like to do right now is just kind of reverse engineer this project and make it all go away since we're kind of exhausted talking about groups. I'm going to hold my Shift key and go ahead and select my entire room out there again and hit my Delete key. Let's talk about building rooms and a little bit more control out there, saying drawing a room, 5-inch thick walls, 20 feet in height. Oh, let's make them 10 feet. It's very too high. 10 feet. If you draw a room from corner to corner, I can left click and drag out a room, obviously. We've talked about this before, yet look at the numbers in the lower left-hand corner. The first number down there in the lower left-hand corner is your X direction, comma, space, Y direction. If I was to want to enter those specific dimensions, I could do this two-handed. My hand's on right hand, still on my mouse, obviously. My left hand is free. I could type in the size of that room is 20 feet, comma, space, 20 feet, and hit enter. The order of that X and Y direction, 20 feet, comma, space, 20 feet, is pretty typical architectural language. So when you see it in a plan, for the most part, it should be the horizontal distance first and then your vertical distance second in a plan view. Well, we just did so and created a specific room if you're comfortable doing so. If that is not your way, our way that we typically instruct certainly is to draw a room, drag out the room, and just let go. From there, your interior dimensions can be modified. We can change this out to 20 feet over here, 20 feet, and choose which wall I want to change to make that occur. I could take the wall at the top and bring it down with the tab on the left. I can take the wall at the bottom, bring it up with the tab on the right, or split the difference. If I didn't care, in the middle, I take the wall at the top, bring it down. And we could do the same down here at the bottom. Take that 25-foot plus wall and change it out to also be 20 feet. And take the wall on the left and bring it inward on the left-hand side. Again, you know that we've, of course, built a 3D model out there, 20 feet by 20 foot, and it is a 10-foot high ceiling, taking a peek at that in 3D. And as you know from our other sessions, those walls that are disappearing is one of your settings up here in the settings tab in the upper right-hand corner, and that is in 3D your cutaway walls. This is turning off your exterior walls between your camera and the target points that you are looking at. Let's go back to 2D. Now we have a flat ceiling, automated, yes. Always remember that these automated flat ceilings are being created, or any ceiling is being created, based on the wall heights. So your wall heights need to be uniform. They need to be the same height, so you don't have any confusion. If you ever have any white triangles coming down from the ceiling, odds are you have some small little pony walls or small little height walls that are connected to your structure, and your ceiling is trying desperately to connect to them. So that could cause a little challenge. So let's take this a little further and take a flat ceiling and turn it into a cathedral ceiling. First, we want to adjust the walls. We want them to slant on the tops. So I'm going to take this wall and this wall, make some modifications, and knowing that there's going to be a ridge line going right across the top center in here. 10-foot high ceilings, maybe take it up to a point at 14 feet high. First thing I want to do is split this wall into two different pieces, equal. Now, if you hover over top of any wall and pause with your cursor at any point, left click, and you click, you're going to have a split command up here. If you hit the split command, it will split your wall into two components. 1, 2. You can grab the split mark and slowly drag it. It will snap to its natural center. 10 feet, 10 feet, looks good, let go. Still a 10-foot high ceiling. Go across the other way and anywhere, just click again and split. And grab that split mark and slowly drag it into position. And again, 10 feet, 10 feet, where are you? There we go, let go. To raise this point, wall 1 at that point and wall 2 at that point, it's a matter of an upper left-hand corner where it says height of the walls. Change the first number. I'm going to change it to 14 feet. 14 feet and hit enter. And wall 1 and wall 2, both independently, are at 14 feet, so it is now raised. If I go across the way to do the same on the other side, we could do this kind of, we'll do it backwards this time, because sometimes you have more than just 2 walls at one intersection. You might have 3 or 4 walls. And you want to select which walls specifically, or if you have any difficulties with this, to do this backwards, is to say, well, wall 1 height would be 14 feet at that point, hit enter, and wall 2 at that point is also 14 feet, and hit enter. And they both are now at this point. If I go to 3D to take a peek at what we just built, sure enough, well, get the cutaway walls, turn that off real quick. Boom. Okay, great. Yes, we have now slanted the walls. Looking great. Yet, if we look at the ceiling, yeah, this is some of that ceiling trying to find its way to its proper homes. This is causing a trouble. To fix this, we're going to put a manual ceiling in this. Actually, yeah, not manual. We're going to actually put a wall in here to force the automated ceiling to be correct, to find where that ridge line is. So we could drag a wall across the room, right from the starting point over here. Left click is one point, and take the wall all the way across to the other side. And click again. Now if I select this wall, which will now fix my ceiling issue, look at its settings and see that it's 14 feet high. Curious, knowing that our settings were set to build walls at 10 feet high. It happened automatically because at any point that you drag in from adjoining to the structure over here on the left-hand side, the new wall will acquire the height at the point you started, as we did here at the 14 feet. That's why it is actually a 14-foot high wall. You know it's 14 feet high there. You know it's 10 feet high down here. Yet if I wanted to build a small closet down here in the corner and have it touch the ceiling, I would never know what the height is at this point. Somewhere between 10 and 14 feet or somewhere up here. So an advantage to be able to drag in from outside and acquire that height. I didn't want a physical wall in the middle of this room, so I can go to the settings of this wall and I can change the thickness of the wall to 0. Do not change the height. Always leave that up there. But we're going to go ahead and change the thickness of the wall to 0. It's invisible. So making invisible walls comes in handy for sure. We have just fixed that ceiling. Take a peek. Looking good. And if we go inside the room with our walking man out there, zoom extents button, look around at what we built inside, and sure enough, the pitch up there looks good. And we can back up a little bit and take a look, see what we got. Yep, looking great. Room is perfectly fine. Yet, that invisible wall is separating this wall into 2 pieces, and it's separating the floor into 2 areas. So you're going to apply your materials twice. Not too bad. Yet, if you're doing area, square foot calculations down here, because Floor Planner can calculate these spaces for you, you will not be able to connect them. So this could be an issue. May not work so well for you. Plus, if you had complicated architecture of other gables coming to this cathedral ceiling, a lot of 0 thickness walls could cause some grief or confusion. So I'm going to take that 0 thickness wall and I'm going to delete it, make it go away. 0 thickness wall is finished and gone, which means I messed up my ceiling again. So if you ever have difficulty in your room areas with a complicated ceiling and some issues going on that you just can't get the automated system to work properly for you, maybe just too complex, we can do this manually, which will give you a great benefit because it's everything you can do in a manual setting inside Floor Planner versus the automated system. Certainly there's many complicated architectures out there. So I've deleted the wall, messed up my ceiling. If I select the room on the left-hand side and go to the settings of that room, there is, sure enough, something called Generate Ceiling tool. Uncheck that and it will turn off the automated ceiling. So we got rid of the bad ceiling, and now we're looking up at blue sky. That's not much benefit. We want to build a manual ceiling. We're going to draw a surface. Surfaces were originally intended to trace out areas, 0 thickness, very, very thin, sitting on the ground, to apply grass to your outside areas or pavers to your garden or driveway materials. Surfaces are highly valuable now. Floor Planner has advanced, and you can use surfaces for other purposes, and we're going to do so to use a surface to create an manually created ceiling. So if I say draw a surface, we're going to trace from point to point. I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner. It will snap to my outer corner, left click. Oops, sorry, draw surface. Click out here. And you can see the line being created. I'm going to go to the second point over here on the outside, left click. And when you start going to your third point, you actually start seeing the volume on the ground that you're creating as a surface. Go across the way to the other side and left click again. I'm still in the middle of a command. You can hit your escape key, as with anything else, and stop the command. I can select the room. Room is sitting on the ground. Okay, great. We're going to make some changes to that. We're going to go over to the settings and we're going to raise the surface from the ground to be above my head, at least the 10 feet. And then we're going to talk about tilting the surface. So I can select these corner grips, this little round circle, and change it to 14 feet, 14 feet. Hit enter, take the grip on the other side, select it also, and change it out to be 14 feet, 14 feet, hit enter. And what we've just created in 3D is a manually created ceiling of any shape, any angle. You're in control. I think you'll enjoy this for complicated architecture for sure. Surfaces also allow you to go ahead and apply materials. So we go in the material library out there and start looking for outdoor materials like roofing materials or grass. We could find something like a Spanish tile roof, like so. Left click, drag and drop, because surfaces will allow you to go ahead and apply materials or paint. Paper thin. Yes, it will render beautiful. This is a preview image, obviously. Yet we can go for better realism because surfaces also allow you to change their thickness. So if you go to the settings of the surface over here and change its thickness to something more realistic, like a 5-inch thick Spanish tile roof, hit enter, go back to our 3D view, and you'll notice that the realism starts to increase because we're starting to give it thickness. Now, that's a roof or ceiling, or we could do this for patios, decks, make ourselves a fire pit outside if we wanted to. Yes, you can use surfaces for elaborate architecture and also items, maybe that are not in your library that you want to build custom. And again, since they accept all of your materials from your general libraries inside Floorplanner, I think it'll come in very, very handy. So let's go back to our 2D view real quick. And I'm going to delete this surface to continue. And I am also going to kind of reverse engineer this and take this back down. So if I select my little split mark over here, you can actually drag your split mark back down and have it join back to its original. So there's one wall at 20 feet again. I can take the split mark on the other side also, and you can even delete these. I can delete that right now. So the split mark's gone and it's still a single wall. I've kind of messed up the unified ceiling, unified wall heights, which is making my ceiling. I'm going to hold my shift key like I showed you earlier and make my selection window over all the walls. And even though it says 14 feet, I want to make sure that they're all at 10 feet. So change that number, or change all walls to 10 feet and hit enter. Didn't have to do one wall at a time. Also, if I wanted the regular flat ceiling back inside this room, go back to its settings. I got to make sure I turn back on that flat ceiling. Or back to a normal room. Now, with this normal room created, let's talk about some other things that we can do with this wall. You know, we could have certainly built a tray ceiling in the center. If you wanted to use this surfaces architecturally, we could go ahead and say build, draw a surface. I could left click from the interior points and start making that same traced out area. We're going to have to change that point, sorry. Well, I'm going to jump ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and bring that corner in. And that's all the points that I had, but I want one more point down here. If you want to add another grip anytime to a surface in 2D, just click on the edge, hover over the edge and click, and it creates a new grip. And I can take that and finalize my room. Now, I kind of gave you a little preview of what we're about to do. This is sitting on the ground, but I wanted a donut hole in the center of it to make a tray ceiling. So I can hover over the wall here and select another point and do another one. And once you start getting more points, you just start reshaping the room. This is all on the ground, 2D, another point. And I'm starting to make the opening, which will be my tray ceiling in the middle of this room, with not much thought for its dimension, I apologize. But just to showcase how this could be built, click another point and finalize that up here. Now that's on the ground as a very faint thickness. I can select it. I can take that surface, go to its settings. I can raise it from the floor 8 feet in a 10-foot room, and I can give the thickness to that as 2 feet to get myself up to the remaining 10 feet. Go back out here to 3D. Twirl around my space, and yes, we made ourselves a tray ceiling. So what you can do with surfaces is quite amazing. Of course, you could paint that or wallpaper it, or maybe you had a patio area out here and you wanted to go ahead and draw use surfaces for a patio, or click on the corner here, over here again, build it outward and over, and I just showed you how you can add new grips, of course, to the space by hovering over the wall and just adding grips. But what are these white dots? The white dots, you can actually grab them, and these will actually give you curvature. So we're going to get some radius out there. So use your imagination. Multiple points, and in between each grip series, pairs of grip points, you will have these white dots that you can make radiuses. So you can make circles, make your fire pit, make it 2 feet high, put stone on it, etc. Yeah, many things we can build out here for sure. I'm going to delete that for right now. And we're back to our flat ceilinged room, 10 feet high. Materials on the ground, or separating areas also in an open floor plan. How do we do that without being separate rooms? You can draw a wall in here like we did before, but we're going to use it now for more of the flooring materials or defining areas by room types. So there's a room in the middle, open floor plan, hit my escape key. Yes, this wall, I don't want to show it, so we'll go to its settings, we'll make it 0. And we'll start changing out the room types. This room down here is an area, can be in the room type re-identified as a house, as a living room. And this area over here might be the dining room. And its room type, it's also a house, and it's a dining room. Okay, we've got room types defined. Kind of cool. And materials inside there. Go over here to finishes, go to material library. Let's start looking for wood. I'll put my old favorite out there, Nordic. Nice ash colored French oak. Left click, drag and drop. And maybe a carpet in our dining room. Horrific thing to do in your dining room, but we'll go crazy. Find ourselves a carpet and drag and drop. Oops, I think I just put that on. Oh, there we go. Good. Left foot on the wall. Good. So we got different materials, two different areas with a zero thickness wall in the middle, so it's transparent. Great. Patterning of these images that you inserted. Go over to the actual material you selected on the left-hand side and go to its settings. Material settings. Material settings will allow you to change the rotation of that image at 90 degrees or any degree you want. Change the horizontal scale, which is changing the lengths of the planks, or the vertical scale, which is changing the widths of the planks. So you get it resized as you care to. And designers such as we are, once it's resized and the orientation's correct, going to its settings, you can also change its offset, which means you're going to change its horizontal offset as to which plank starts on which wall. Comes in really handy. Tile patterns when you're trying to center them in bathrooms, etc. You could do the same thing for rescaling the carpet, make it look more commercial, tighter weave, or broader, make it look more residential. So in looking at this room real quick in 3D, yes, no wall in the middle because it's zero thickness, and you're able to change your materials and your room type areas and definitions of the spaces, which would also allow you to select those room types in these areas. And you could even go over here to its settings and say, show me the surface area, right? You get the square footage calculation inside there. Or in the settings tab in the upper right hand corner, there's a button inside there in the dimensions tab. This little toggle switch, you can go ahead and say show interior dimensions. Gives you the running dimensions of all the walls. So if you haven't explored all these tools that are up here, do take the time to do so. Maybe put them back the way you found them until you get really comfortable utilizing them, because you might forget that you turned something off and wonder why it doesn't work anymore. You can put in a lot of architectural trims inside these rooms, which starts adding even more realism. If you go over to the Objects tab over here, of course, remembering that we are a European-based platform, so if I start looking for baseboards in the US, it'll be synonymous with the word skirting boards. If you look for skirting boards, they're baseboards. I can left click and drag a baseboard into my room, drag away, and apply it to my wall. There you are. And I can select that little skirting board. And we can change its dimensions so it's a little bit more obvious in our 3D view. We can go over to its settings. I'm going to make this maybe a little bit higher, maybe like a 6-inch height. I could set its width to be the 20 feet, or I could use the stretch command over here and actually lengthen it visually along the room. I can select it again and lengthen it the other direction. I can't see the whole room in here. I should be able to hit my space bar, which is allowing me to, my space bar is giving me a pan command. It's one of your shortcuts. It's your space bar. Let go of my space bar and I'm back into my command again. Space bar again. So I'm still in the middle of this command while I'm actually working. So you can actually relocate your image using the space bar as a pan of your 2D view. And I'll just finish that out with my stretch. And we've got ourselves a baseboard over there. You can also, there are picture rail, which are architectural box trims for the wall, which can be quite beautiful. Picture rail. And I'm finding our rails. They must have been reclassified. They are out there, and you can apply them much like the architectural trim that you did for your baseboard, but you can take baseboards and you can actually reposition them. So if we went into, let's close that out for a second. Let's go back into 3D real quick. Inside our room, Oh, I probably should have painted my wall real quick. Let's do that. It's because that white on white is going to be a little bit of a trouble. Let's go into our material library. We're on the left-hand side, go into our colors, and finding paint collections, different paint collections, Benjamin Moore. Find yourselves a color, left click, hover over the wall. Interior wall, fill the white circle with the color, painted the wall. If I held my shift key while I painted the one wall, or shift key and dragged it into the room with my shift key depressed, it would have painted all the walls. Shift key to paint all walls, no shift key, paints one wall. But now let's take a look inside that room. So walking around for first person, zoom extents, arrow keys to move backwards. There's a baseboard. What's fun in 3D, obviously, is that you can select these items and I could move it up and down the wall. I could also copy it and make a duplicate of it, make it into a chair rail. I could resize it in its settings over here. Moving items in 3D, highly, 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 highly valuable. Let's go back into 2D real quick, and proving that point also, let's go ahead and put in a sofa inside this room. Sofa. And a nice generic sofa, left click, drag and drop. Okay, got a sofa in there. I want to put a pillow on the sofa, so let's look for a pillow. Buy myself a nice generic pillow, drag it on top of my leather sofa. Now, pillows, make multiples of them and rotate them accordingly and let them overlap with each other and different rotations. But to make it even more realistic is to make them lean. Not just rotate, but actually tilt. So tilting is really, really cool in 3D inside Floorscanner, is that we can go over to this sofa using my arrow keys back, my right key, arrow key back, and I'm going to select this pillow. I can still rotate it with a ring on the bottom in 3D. I can move it orthogonally. I can elevate it up and down. So all that positioning is still available to me, yet I also have over here in its settings the ability to tilt it. If you hit the tilt command, yep, we can tilt a pillow. But you can also tilt beams for those cathedral ceilings that we talked about earlier, or leaning a mirror up against the wall, or accessorizing a shelf unit and making them look a little bit more casual, not so rigid. Maybe a couple things leaning to make them look a little bit more photoreal for the renderings. Yeah, tilt. Very, very cool volume to actually work with. Now, if I wanted to maybe, like put some beams in the ceiling, I just talked about beams. So I want to just put something above my head. So if I grab like a wood beams are going to attach themselves to the ceiling, which is nice. I can resize these in their settings, and I just want to showcase, once you start doing a lot of work on your ceiling, and even chandeliers or light fixtures and beams, how do I send this as a two-dimensional document? I can do it as a wireframe drawing, okay, or full color up here, yeah, or the room type definition, yeah, but the beams are in my way. How can I do this without having to delete the beams to send a really nice furniture floor plan? There's a setting in 2D settings up here. It's called, in the general settings, hide all above a certain height. So if I turn that on as a toggle switch, it's actually cutting down to 4 feet. From 4 feet, anything above 4 feet is now hidden. And change that, make it a little bit higher depending on what you're trying to showcase or not showcase. They're still there. They're still going to show in your 3D model. They're still going to show in your 3D export. It's going to be really, really powerful. Yet, for your two-dimensional document right now, I can send this out as an export with not having the confusion of all these items above my head. So hide all above will come in very, very handy for you for a multitude of reasons. I'm going to get rid of those beams for right now. We showcase this in our other webinars, but I'd like to highlight this again, is that you have your library of materials inside Floorscanner, wallpapers, paints, etc. And you also have the ability to do custom materials for your wall surfaces. This has been out for a while, but I find this very valuable because sometimes, typical, wallpapers get discontinued pretty fast, and new products come in all the time. New murals, new wallpapers, Maybe you need a picture of your client's artwork that you have to design around, or it's a piece of artwork on your showroom floor that you have to use in your design, or even a photograph of custom millwork or shiplath or anything. If you have a JPEG PNG image of any material that you want to put on a wall surface, you can upload it as a custom material into your personal library and apply it to a wall surface and resize it, adjust it, repeat it. Very awesome. To do so, you actually select the wall you want to put it on, the new material, in 2D. And over on the left-hand side, you'll see that you have side 1 of that wall you selected and side 2 of that wall. Side 2 looked a little bit wider, probably because the thickness is being added of this little 5-inch wall down here. So side 1 is the view we want, which is the inside view. Okay, inside view, side 1, front view of that wall. Great. You have 3 options. You can go back to your colors and paints like we did in 2D and drag and drop, or you can select from the material library, the general library of Floor Planner, but you can also do uploads. You can upload choose file, a JPEG PNG from your computer or device, and actually install it straight away inside here. This is my personal library. You can start guessing why I did certain imagery. There's fronts of vanity cabinets. There's a wallpaper. There's different wallpapers of France, different wallpapers again. Artwork, a view outside, a double oven. Maybe I didn't have the 3D model and I just wanted to apply the material to the wall to look like a double oven. Architectural trims, French architectural moldings and trims, fireplaces, clients' artwork. Again, multitude of reasons. You choose your own file, add it to your library for whatever purpose. I'm going to do this with a wallpaper for right now. So this is like a sampling from Seabrook wall coverings. I went to their website, found a sample that I liked that's not in our Floor Planner library, and went ahead and added it to my collection through the choose file. Once it's in my library, I can apply it to the wall by selecting it. And it fills the entire wall. 10-foot high wall. Ouch, not exactly what I wanted it to do. In the pull-down menu, we can change it to free. Free will be free scaling. I can actually change the size of it using your grips on the corners. And knowing it's a 10-foot high ceiling, I can start adjusting its size accordingly. Kind of guessing at its correct size, yet most vendors are now telling you what the exact dimensions are of their sample in real-world scale. This particular sample is 2 feet wide, and it's 2 feet high as the information was given to me. Okay, scaled perfectly. If I want to repeat it on the wall, I could repeat it horizontally or horizontally like a chair rail, or vertically like a column. In the pull-down menu over here, yes, we could do tilizing it horizontally, vertically, repeating it, or both directions at the same time, and it wallpapers the entire wall. When this image looks the way you'd like it to look, you just close the window. A little counterintuitive, but close the window. And you'll find in 3D that that's now been accepted and applied to that wall surface. Preview image, pretty awesome, knowing of course that it's going to render in your exports even more beautiful. So you're now empowered to go ahead and work with any custom JPEG PNG image that you want to go ahead and add to your library for wall surfaces. Little insider information for this 2025 is that application for wall surfaces, we've had a great request for this. What about adding it to floor surfaces? You have a library that you work with floor surfaces, but there's a lot of custom materials for floor surfaces also. How could we have the opportunity to do the same thing to upload JPEG PNG images of floor materials, possibly even area rugs? So yes, this is under development currently, and I think we're going to be watching for that possibly as soon as the end of second quarter of 2025, which will be a few more months from now, but do keep your eyes open for that advancement of this same wall feature custom to floor surface custom. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. This is a pretty long recording. I want to share with you a quick take on multiple stories. How do you build a multiple story project? There is up here, I can see also I've actually put a little piece of skirting board over there. Let's get rid of that real quick. Notice that there's a crosshair over here. If you're building a multiple story, remember you can build for the free accounts up to a 3-story or SD level project or higher up to a 7-story project. And you want to get the floors right above and below each other. But how do you position everything correctly? Well, if you had a reference point on this particular project, maybe this left-hand corner, you can use this origin point, this crosshair over here. It is a reference point that'll be the exact same point above and below itself on every floor. Okay, well, we could go ahead and go to the project tab over here on the left-hand side. In the project tab, there is a transform design. Like, what is that for? Hit the transform design tab, and there's a pivot button. If you take the pivot button, what's going to be really cool about this is that you can move the entire image and furnishings and everything to get that corner right up to that intersection of that known origin point and let go and apply it. So we relocated it, so we're actually got that corner on that point. So if I knew of the corner the same on the second floor, I technically could pivot on that same point. That's fine. It helps. But for me as an architect, I want it to be exact, right on the money. There's another way to do this. Build your first floor first, including any staircase that you may have. So let's add a staircase in there real quick. Let's go to my Objects tab. Let's put a stair inside here. 10 feet high would be nice. Let's find ourselves a 10-foot high staircase. 10 feet. Drag and drop. Put it over here. Give a landing on the ground floor, landing on your floor above, and let go. Now here's the trick. Again, build your first floor, your ground floor, your basement first, and then duplicate that floor with all of its essence to be your second floor next. If you do that, they'll be directly above and below each other. So your first floor would have contained your structural load-bearing columns or load-bearing walls, which realistically are above and below each other for the loads to be transferred through your building. So even if you have different partitions on your second floor, at least copy your structural members exactly in alignment to the second floor, and then just delete your peripheral partition walls and build from those stationary points. And then you'll be sure that everything's directly above and below each other. So to prove that point, let's put a door in here again. Let's go back to our door library. Loving these new doors. Please have fun with these. These are really, really cool. Let's take the French doors, put them back down here. So I got some doors down here. There's our room. Let's duplicate it. So you go to the project tab, which is where you build multiple designs. We know about duplicating designs, of course. And you have the first floor up here. Open up the multiple floors. You only have one floor open currently. If you go to the little 3 buttons on the right-hand side there, you have an option to go ahead and duplicate the floor. If I hit duplicate the floor, indeed, I just made a copy of it. Well, the copy is called first floor copy. I'm going to rename it because that's going to confuse me very quickly. I'm going to call it second floor. Second floor? Sure. Great. So we got the second floor out there. And I have a staircase I don't need because I'm not going to a third floor, but I wanted it there because I wanted to cut a hole in my floor, which we're going to use our surfaces again. Take your surfaces and we're going to go ahead and trace out what would be where the staircase will come through to my second floor. So I'm tracing out a surface on the ground of the second floor. Hit escape. I don't need the staircase anymore. It's a duplicate staircase on the second floor. I'm going to delete it. There's the surface I just created. Go over to its settings. In the settings over here, there's a feature in there to assign a cutout. Cutout, looking downward only. I cut a hole in my floor. Cool. Go to my project tab. Pull down. Let's look at my first floor again. There's my first floor with the staircase. There's my second floor. Here's my 3D view. And there is my hole in the floor. Where's my first floor? Where is that first floor? Okay, you're on the higher floor. Go to the settings tab in the upper right-hand corner. Settings tab. Let's go down to show floors below. Turn it on. Voila. Perfect alignment. Because we duplicated the floor. And there's the hole. And you can start looking downward and take a peek downstairs. Depending on what you're trying to communicate, We could also separate these floors in the settings tab in the upper right hand corner under show floors below. You can use the slider to explode the floors. I'd set these as camera plus signs if you want to save these and render them as exports later. And you take the walls away. Now, you know about cutaway walls, turn it on. Turning off the exterior walls between your camera and the target points that you're looking at to understand the space better. So multiple stories, cuts in the floor looking downward. Sorry to tell you, but those do not work looking upward, but they do work looking downward. If you have to do some mezzanines or other areas, you might want to consider actually building your entire multi-story on one floor and using those surface commands to make custom floors up above, which will allow you to be looking through the space upward. But for downward looking, the cutaway cutout feature to apply to a surface outline really does come in handy. So let's turn off our cutaway walls. Go back to our 2D view. And I think at that point we've gone into a little bit of extra overtime today. I think that gives you a lot of new information, certainly some of the newest advanced tools inside the platform for 2025. But as I mentioned, please do keep going forward to keep watch for any of the new features that are coming available for sure out there. And let's see if we can get ourselves back to our PowerPoint presentation. And take that window down. Floorscanner app out there, as I mentioned, how that functions. I could show you just for a second what exactly this looks like. There's this free offering inside the Floorscanner, and that free offering functions with the Apple technology. And if you open up and select the free option, you'll notice that you hit start scanning, and when you're standing in a room, you don't have to move any furniture or anything. You can actually just point your device around the room and the technology will take over at that point. This video clip has never been sped up or edited in any way. This is exactly as it captures. You'll see the 3D model actually being generated down there in the very center of your, what would be your phone or your device. You can, when you're finished, hit the stop scanning button. Say I've accepted everything, it all looks great. And you can twirl around on your finger and actually look at that 3D model piece you built, verify that you've got everything. And if you're done, you just go ahead and complete the scan and just hit the upload button, and your 3D model will create an actual project inside your Floor Planner account that you can go ahead and open. You can open it on your phone. Be careful, your phone's a little small and my finger's a little big. So I would be cautious. I would actually do my editing work in my computer, not with my phone, but you are actually viewing the 3D model being created live right there. You're actually in your editor, looking at the project itself while you're still on your phone that's completed. Talk about style boards, not going to go into detail with this today. It's fairly intuitive from everything I described with you earlier, very drag and drop type platform. It's more of your skill for visualizing and graphically making your components together until you go to the magic layout button, as you can see in the upper left hand corner, and start applying the role, identifying what those pieces are. Style boards will automatically save for you, just like your projects automatically save for you every 3 seconds. So there is no save button. And then you can select your rooms, your empty areas, and apply a style board to those specific rooms if you wanted to see it auto-populate and then run your magic layout button. Just went into something extra earlier, showing you the additional feature to do custom uploads of materials for your walls. Don't forget about that single page that I mentioned earlier inside your editor manual. If you download our reference manual from our website under the support tab, we've already done that. And just some talking points on the way out. Don't forget that your three-dimensional items, your objects inside Floor Planner, play very nice with each other. You can rescale them, you can overlap them. So out of about 300,000 plus items that you have inside Floor Planner. Mix and match them, resize them sometimes to create something you don't have in Floor Planner. And now you know that you can also create a named group of that new item that you've created for its reuse. Camera views and different settings. I mentioned the values, certainly, of creating multiple designs, not just for showing a different layout for a client. Sometimes you want to remove items, but you don't want to corrupt your original design for the sake of a specific camera view. Comes in handy, multiple designs. And also sometimes a wall is a little too close behind your camera, and you may have to change the architecture of the room a little bit to place the camera correctly, to keep a nice small field of view, keeping everything nice and linear. Comes in handy to have multiple designs for that also, to move a wall behind you without corrupting your original design, just for the sake of a camera view. This particular view, I wanted to capture all the room, but I wanted a very small field of view, so everything stayed very crisp, like the legs of those bar stools. Moving items around in 3D, touched on that a little bit with the baseboard trim out there. It works really great with the artwork that you apply to your wall surfaces, for sure. You can change the dimensions while you're in 3D. You can move them visually. I'm not quite sure how we would do this in a 2D view for a 3D artwork arrangement. So everything I did on this particular image and placing the accessories and such was all done in 3D for all those 3D handles that you now have. Adding architectural trims, baseboards, skirting boards, as we say in Europe, light switches, crown molding as coving, mirrors reflect across the room for sure to capture what's on the other side, so please make sure you finish your decor on your other side. Getting some natural sunlight coming in behind you gives you a little bit more realism. Adding lights and fixtures in your ceilings. There's many recessed can lights inside Floor Planner to attach to your ceiling. You can turn them on and off. They all have dimmer switches, and if you get them close enough to the walls, they make these really nice triangles of light, as you can see here. Last image on my way out here for this session. I always use this image because I missed something here. It's a good image, it's very busy, a lot of information in there, crown molding, coving, skirting boards, lights up here for down, bouncing light across the furniture. What I missed, an opportunity, is that I had this really dark floor in the foreground, and here I've got this kind of French or English tutored window of diagonal shaped, diamond shaped mullions. My opportunity that I missed is I should have redirected the sun in our sun settings in the sundial to have the sun come through that window and cast really beautiful triangles of light on that dark flooring in the foreground, and they would have cast sunshine across the rug, and those diamond shapes of light would have gone up where the brass martini table is on the right hand side, and even on the brass trim of the chair and the velvet, that dark navy velvet. Yeah, it would have been beautiful. It wouldn't have changed my architecture, wouldn't have changed my interior design, wouldn't have changed my intention, my furnishings, my materials, yet it would have made a much more appealing image, much more creative, much more beautiful. And we always want to show our best image for our clients. We want them to be impressed by the image, that, wow, that's gorgeous. And obviously the components in there is what I want. I want that look. So take the time, where I did miss it here, take the time yourself. It doesn't take but a few more extra seconds, a little bit more thought, to take advantage of all the tools that are available inside Floor Planner to maximize the image that you're creating. Rendering times on these, taking 20 seconds or so to create an image, the time effort is almost nothing. To take that extra moment to re-render and send that export out there a little bit different to get it to be the best that you think it can be, and showcase that as your first wow factor for your clients. Simple mission statement for Floor Planner. Since we started in 2007 making space planning and interior design accessible to everybody, it's our intent of our platform. Even though Floor Planner, as I mentioned, does keep advancing and we're adding additional tools and features to Floor Planner, We're going to keep the platform simple. We're not intending to make Floor Planner as another complex platform out there. We want to keep it simple. The magic that's occurring is really the efforts of the programmers and the developers out there in the Netherlands. They'll take care of the hard work in that regard to give you the beautiful imagery that you're creating simply, but your platform itself will stay simple with additional toggle switches and, of course, lots of instruction to get you comfortable with anything that's new out there. Again, intention is to keep our platform user-friendly, very intuitive, yet we're going to keep advancing. We also have a brand new AI division inside Floor Planner to look at opportunities to maybe take some of the mundane, repetitive features away from you to make it easier so you can concentrate more on your design. So please do keep attentive to all the modifications as we go forward. We're offering the live webinars and these additional new recorded webinars to give you more information as we advance. So I hope you enjoyed your Floor Planner Advanced Tools webinar. Hope it's answered some questions for you. Hope it's inspired you to take Floor Planner even further with the great opportunities that the new features have to offer. And please do have fun checking out the new doors. I've had a lot of enjoyment checking them out myself. Any such. If you happen to be a pro account subscription up through Enterprise, I do support them for additional trainings. You can reach out to me at bob@floorplanner.com in my email. I'll get back with you. Otherwise, if you happen to be a basic free account or the entry levels for Plus account, you too, subscriptions, are more than welcome to keep coming back for the live webinars that are always free. And if you have additional questions at that point, you can certainly go ahead and put them in the comments for those registrations, and we'll make sure we get those addressed for you, or elevate your subscriptions to Pro and get started with a little extra help for sure. Any such, again, I appreciate you all being with me, taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you at a live webinar possibly, or through these recorded videos. Till the next time, have a great day. Thanks.